HD2 and W239BF Rochester. The sports leader. 95.7 FM and AM 950 WGR Rochester. An Odyssey sports station. Welcome into the Sports Bar with Gene Battaglia, where the voice of the Rochester fan is heard. Pull up a stool and join us at 866-4326. This is WGR Rochester, and the Sports Bar with Gene Battaglia is on. Now.
2 hours of sports talk excellence here in the Flower City. You found us. Thank you for joining us here. My name is Gene Battaglia. Our phone number 585-866-4326. You can reach us on X at WGR Rochester is our handle. We're on 95.7 FM, AM 950. Streaming for free inside the Odyssey app. We're on YouTube and Twitch. Waving hello to everybody watching online right now. Certainly you can leave a comment there if you'd like to interact as we're talking some Buffalo Bills football, as we have just 2 days of camp left on the field. From the High Fall Studios, the sun is out. Beautiful day. And for everybody that went out today, well, congratulations. You had the right day for a couple reasons. One, the sun, the weather. You'd have to say, and I've covered most of these camps. Now, this year, quite honest, I've been in the studio here, but I'm cognizant of what's going on, and I can't recall a Bills camp that just had this sort of weather in terms of, hey, we're practicing, it's rainy out, and we may get that Thursday and Friday to cap it all off. But today, the day to go, sun was out, the pads were on, and that led to a little hitting, maybe a little too much hitting. We'll get to that coming up here in the show. Our producer is Tim Schneider. Our other producer, but he's in the other studio, Dan DeLorean. And we invite you, again, the Good Smoke Barbecue and Pub Wingman line at 585-866-4326. Award-winning barbecue from Good Smoke Barbecue and Pub, 135 West Commercial Street, East Rochester, goodsmokebbq.com. Yeah, things got testy today out at St. John Fisher University. First up, it was TJ Parker, just a little extra hit. And where is the line when it comes to full pads and hitting? You're not necessarily really tackling a guy and driving me into the ground. You're doing football things, certainly. But there's no justification what Caleb Elam's-Orr did today. Caleb Elam's-Orr, a late hit on Dalton Kincaid. Actually, it's not even a late hit. Like, Dalton Kincaid goes down to get a pass, play is over, he's getting back up, and then Elam's-Orr shoves him back to the ground. So this is, it's a tale as old as time, right? Players that are young, that are trying to make an impression. And how do you make an impression in a sport that, hey, you got to be physical, but when it comes to this stuff, there is a line. And we've seen this over the years with some other Buffalo Bills. I think of two guys on the offensive line, Spencer Brown, and certainly Alec Anderson, and now here's Elam-Orr's. And by the way, the appropriate response from the offense and everything else that came up. We don't do that. Other notes, courtesy of Sal Capaccio, Ray Davis, if you missed that, he was off for a little bit, but he was back out. So nothing to be concerned about. Deion Walker still out of practice today. Walker has some sort of elbow issue. It is that time of year where, all right, if it were game day, would Deion Walker probably be out there? Yeah, probably. But I'd have to think he's such a key member of this defense. He is your nose tackle, right? He is the guy that will supposedly, if you're going to put Rousseau up on the outside, that's going to free up at Oliver one-on-one against a guard. That's kind of exciting. Well, Deion Walker, let's take some time with that. C.J. Gardner-Johnson remaining out. 585-866-4326. It's coming up 2 o'clock hour today. Matt Perino, Syracuse Post-Standard, the Shout podcast. Of course, he's out there, and we'll get his thoughts as he'll also be in town on Thursday night for a little meetup, which is funny because I mentioned that last week, and then Yacht Rock John said, hey, you going? I'm like, yep, I'll be going. So we'll tell you all about that on Thursday because I'm certainly out. I'm down for supporting people who support us, absolutely, here in the Sports Bar. And if there are two guys that have been friends of our show from day one, literally it was before day one for Ryan Talbot. Met him at a CMF function, just really salt of the earth kind of guy, and Matt Perino kind of the same way if you do meet him on Thursday. So we will be talking to Matt Perino coming up in hour number 2. Again, 585-866-4326. that is our number. Today was the day we heard from Terrell Bernard, the Bills' middle linebacker, and Bernard talking in this longer cut about new defensive coordinator Jim Leonhard.
Yeah, Jim's been awesome. Obviously a former player, played a long time in this league at a high level. So, having that insight of, how he sees the game and what aspects he sees and why he's calling things, it's been fun. Me and him talk for a long time. Pre-practice we sit there and talk probably for 15 minutes just about the day and what he wants to see out of us. We talk before we go to walkthrough of what the expectations are and how he feels like the system is being built and what we're gonna major in. But it's been great. I think him having that background as a former player and kind of understanding what we're going through and the challenges of what we do. I think that's a big help. I feel like he understands our mindset, and then obviously he's been coaching for a long time now, so he understands that aspect of it too. So he's been great.
Yeah, I mean, having somebody who can kind of relate, and again, kind of in that same bucket. If Terrell Bernard week one, he probably would have been out there regular season. Right now, not so much, but he's been out there. He was out there today, was out there yesterday. Terrell Bernard, after coming back from that ankle injury, just continuing to work through it.
I mean, it's part of the game, man. Obviously, you never want to, deal with injuries. Nobody wants to deal with injuries. But at the end of the day, you got to put your head down, get to work, and find out a way to get back out there. And, I feel like I've dealt with that my whole career, and, everybody does. But just to, really put the work in and, have the mental fortitude to just keep going, I think that's the main thing.
And bottom line, he's just kind of happy to be back here.
I think just being grateful that I'm out there. For me, I missed it. Like, I missed just being out there with the guys. I missed, being in the locker room and going through practice and doing tough things together. So really just enjoying those moments and just not taking it for granted. When I'm out there doing everything that I can to, be the best version of myself, but then help the guy next to me.
He is right now the best linebacker on this team. It's not Elam Zor, and it's not Dorian Williams. The question is he going to be healthy for the 18-game stretch? And it's going to be kind of fluid. I do think the Bills could use another body in there at some point. Why Shaq Thompson is still on the sideline here waiting. Again, when we have this discussion about Tre'Davious White or Shaq Thompson, it's speculative because do the Bills want him back? Does the player want to come back? Is the player – well, one thing I could tell you is the player wants to earn a really nice paycheck. And to earn a really nice paycheck, you got to be starting in this league, or at least you have to, have the potential to. And so maybe, and again, speculative, but for Tre'Davious White or for Shaq Thompson, that could just be as simple as let's just kind of see what happens here over the next week or two when we have preseason. And unfortunately, there will be injuries around the league, and you don't want them happening here in Buffalo, but curious to see where that kind of plays out. So Terrell Bernard, I'm a staunch defender of Terrell Bernard, that when he's healthy, he's the defensive captain. He's the guy that makes plays. He's the guy that forced the second turnover in that win in the Baltimore playoff game from 2 seasons ago. Before Mark Andrews dropped the pass that might have tied it, it was Mark Andrews getting stripped by Terrell Bernard. So Bernard has a nose for the football. He has football instincts. Can he stay healthy? It's Elam Zor against Dorian Williams. And just seeing how when we get to that first preseason game, which, hey, we're not that far out. It's only 11 days away. Against Carolina. It's a 1 o'clock Saturday afternoon game that'll open up the new stadium. That'll be a lot of fun. We'll talk to Matt Perino coming up next hour about that. Today, again, another highlight type of play. Josh Allen to DJ Moore. And if you've been going out to practice, you see, all right, DJ Moore passes the eye test. You want to talk about another good guy on the team. That's Khalil Shakir. Shakir talking about that connection between Allen and DJ Moore.
Dude, honestly, man, their connection has been unreal. Like, when you watch stuff like that, it just feels fake. Like, how beautiful that play was. I mean, DJ was just gliding. All 3 DBs are kind of looks like they're really straining to get there, and DJ's kind of just chilling. The ball, I mean, absolutely unreal. Dropped it right in the breadbasket, and DJ to finish that play. Man, it's a beautiful thing to see, the connection there. And every single day, not just that catch. Obviously, that probably was the best one, but just the stuff they've done every single day and the growth that's came within that is going to help us must-win games for sure.
Well, I'm curious, too. I mean, we know DJ Moore's a good receiver. We know Josh Allen is the favorite for league MVP. What DJ Moore, he's never played with a quarterback, obviously, like Josh Allen. And, yes, Caleb Williams has a path to be a really good quarterback in this league. But he doesn't have the skill set of Josh Allen, meaning when it comes to the unstructured plays, when it comes to the freelancing, when it comes to the, hey, things are breaking down. That's what I'm excited about. Seems like Shakir is one of those receivers that knows where to go, and certainly Diggs was one of those receivers when he was here. Let me get downfield, like to me, where does Moore kind of fit in there? And it's hard to tell in training camp because if a play breaks down, basically the play is blown dead. We don't want Josh Allen running around there. These are all structured plays. And because we really don't want to see Josh Allen out there in the preseason, I don't. But I don't want to see him out there running around for his life. It's a question that I'm asking that we won't know for quite a while. But if that kind of steps in, then look out. That'll be exciting. Khalil Shakir also talking about here in this cut what actually Moore is bringing to the table in terms of the wide receiver group.
His energy is unreal, too. I mean, you talk about like an all-around guy who obviously is a stud at what he does, but also, too, has the right attitude towards the game and towards what we do. It's a grind every single day, you know, and you can get lazy and tired, and that's not in him. He's somebody who's going to show up and kind of set the standard, set the tone for us. And what it does for me, I just think it's great to have a playmaker like that on the outside, and you can move him around as well. I think we got a lot of guys you can move around. And I think, obviously, the more dogs that you have that are getting open, making plays, a defense has to pay attention to, and it just kind of works hand in hand with getting other people open.
Yeah, so Shakir, will they work him down the field a little bit more? It seemed like Shakir was the receiver that, all right, for whatever reason, was that a McDermott thing? Was it just you didn't have a receiver that was on the opposite side? Like Shakir's routes more often than not were short, and he's got great run after the catch ability, very, very slippery. He's got a skill set that not too many in this league have. And people get frustrated by those bubble screens and whatnot. Maybe a little less of that and a little more downfield for Khalil Shakir. And will DJ Moore help in that regard? And then as we were discussing yesterday, one of the camp topics, hey, James Cook, can he actually be used as a receiver? And when you go over the history of James Cook as a receiver in Buffalo, hey, you look back to that rookie season, and there were some missteps, whether it's a fumble here in the opener against the Rams or the drop pass in a Philadelphia game. I think it's worth another look in that regard. Maybe you don't have to do it week 1 or week 2. It could be one of those things that, all right, we'll get to it at some point. Gosh, you're just looking week 1. Just week 1. You don't need to win style points. That's one where if it's a 13-10 Buffalo win at Houston, a place that you haven't had much success, check that. In Josh Allen's career, you haven't had any success down there. Why? Well, then you're thank you, and you move on, and you get ready for the home opener, which is only the Thursday right after that against the Detroit Lions. 585-866-4326. That is our phone number. The Good Smoke Barbecue and Pub Wingman Line. Award-winning barbecue from Good Smoke Barbecue and Pub, 135 West Commercial Street, East Rochester. GoodSmokeBBQ.com. Another thing that's not in Pittsford today, but rather in Orchard Park. Oh, wow. Yeah, there are people out there. It becomes their thing. Like, okay, let's watch the stadium get torn down. I don't know if we had this necessarily. Like, when you walk by Kodak and you realize, oh, there's some buildings gone there, and people were watching and they were taking videos and cheering, it's like, yeah, that's actually kind of sad. This is a different type of sad for me because, sure, in the name of progress, you needed the new stadium. The league wanted it. You also had an upper deck that if you just do the engineering study, it wasn't going to last 5 more years. It was a real conversation. What do you do with this stadium? Well, the Bills made the right choice in the sense of there's no need, there's no logic in putting more money into that facility. Build something new. I can't argue with that. It still is sad, though, to see the final piece of the stadium, the upper deck, come down. So if you're driving by there on Abbott Road, Southwestern, you won't see anything from ground level other than a pile of rubble. It's gone. Gone. All the light stands, all the upper deck. The only thing that's still standing, and I should ask somebody about this, is the old administration building. Are they actually going to keep that? Because that's still, you can kind of picture it. They had some members of the Wall of Fame, and it was kind of like the first, I guess, sort of luxury boxes, finger quote there. But that's where before they built the new training facility, that's where Marv Levy had his office. That's where John Butler had his office. Everything was kind of crammed into just kind of 3 floors there. If you can kind of imagine, that's, now he's the team president, but that's, Pete Gwellian was over there along with Russ Brandon. That building still stays. But to me, it does tug at the heartstrings a little bit just to see all of that kind of gone. Like, if you're thinking of this like from a Rochester perspective, like I'm bringing up Kodak. Yeah, Silver Stadium, we never had that big teardown moment, I guess. And maybe I was just, too busy, too young to kind of appreciate it at the time. But yeah, it's something that gives me some mixed emotion. Now, by the time hopefully you're listening to the show, you'll have an opportunity at some point to step into the new stadium. Maybe you already have. Maybe you're going to go coming up on Saturday of the 8th for the blue and the red scrimmage. My gosh, I didn't have to say the 8th. I could just say this Saturday. And that's great. And really, are you there for the scrimmage, or are you there just oh my gosh, this is our seat? Oh, wow. I'm so grateful that somebody lent us their tickets here, and we're going to just kind of take it all in. We're not used to anything like this here. That's a fact. We don't know what a facility like this is going to be, what the experience is going to be like. You paid for it, Bills fans. You paid for it, taxpayers. That's something. It's a different topic. And I think there's another story in the NFL today because I say, look, because of the age of the stadium, and it didn't have to happen right now, but let's say, within 5 years or whatever, we would have been having a real conversation of, okay, is this facility really safe here? Something had to be done in terms of the future of football in Buffalo in terms of the stadium. Other places, not so. You look around the league. Okay, you could put a little work into the Cleveland Stadium. No, we need something brand new. We need the whole stadium. And there's some pushback today. The story there is that that stadium in Cleveland will not have grass. It's indoors. They're going to have turf. Okay. Maybe don't announce that today, or maybe say we'll get to that, push it down the road. But then you've got this story coming out of Denver. And I think of well, it's not Mile High, it's whatever the corporate name is. But I think a lot of people would just say Mile High. Well, that's too old now. 25 years is too old. Wow, okay. So the Broncos, like everybody else, are pushing for, you guessed it, a dome stadium. And listen to this piece of PR garbage. That, by the way, was retweeted by all the NFL talking heads today, your Schefters and your Rappaports and whatnot. This is from the Denver Broncos. We are excited to share updated master plan renderings from Burnham Yard, our preferred site for a world-class Broncos stadium and vibrant mixed-use neighborhood. Shaped by extensive community feedback, these updated plans will continue to evolve as Burnham Yard becomes a place where neighbors, fans, and visitors gather, connect, and belong year-round. Oh, my gosh, that's disgusting. Is there any Bronco fan that's asking, what I really love, a place to gather, connect, and be together year-round? Any of these stadium renderings, too, always crack me up because there's a stupid bike path or some other gathering place. Like, hey, don't pay attention to the the $2 billion thing you got to build over here. Look at this. Trees. There's a dog walking down the path or whatever. Mixed, vibrant neighborhood. Yeah, like we're going to cure homelessness here in Denver. We're the Denver Broncos. Stop that. Burnham Yard. There's my buddy Danger would always say, don't recommend shows. That's his thing. I'll recommend a show. If you haven't seen it yet, The Beast in Me, fantastic show. Tim, have you seen that?
I have not.
Put it on your list.
You
Matthew
got it.
Reese, it's evil. It's everything you would like, right? And something that's very quick, right? But that's like, it's a developer, and he named his complex blah, blah, blah yards. Like, that's the first things that come to my mind. It's like, okay, if you're going to name something Burnham Yard, it's just a development program. Shake down the taxpayers, and you build us the stadium, and we're going to keep all the land around this, and everything's going to get built up, and it's going to be very, very beautiful, and, bike paths. And I think the over-the-top thing that really kind of did it for me was in Washington when they had pictures of a new stadium rendering, a stadium that, by the way, never came to fruition because Daniel Snyder is an evil person, and people recognize that. But that stadium rendering actually had a moat around the stadium. It had like this little river thing that I don't know what else you call it. Like if you're going to build a water structure that entirely encapsulates like a home, you would call it a moat, right? And that's kind of what it was. And you had people jet skiing on it. The NFL, this is what they do. And I just think sometimes we just kind of question this stuff. Again, to me, it's kind of skeevy that, hey, the Bills are going to get off scot-free basically between the PSLs. In fact, they're going to make money on this. Don't kid yourself. By bring you back around to the stadium getting knocked down. That's not going to be a parking lot, folks. That's all been rezoned out there. It'll be a nice, flat, dry piece of land, come next spring that, hey, then we'll begin to have the RFPs, request for proposal. What could we do? If you were really about showcasing the new stadium, by the way, it would have been fun to have the NFL draft here in Buffalo next year, right? That would have been really kind of cool. But you know what? It's not quite done, is it? No, the template's across the street. Yeah, that's where the Pagulas are going to make their money. 585-866-4326. We got other stories to kind of get to. Why the Sabres should do the right thing here. The Sabres should kind of step in. I'll explain this. No crying in baseball? Blue Jays are getting whacked online. The trade deadline, you get all these little anecdotes, and I'm going to give you my take on why it's not a bad thing when grown men are crying. It's just a job after all, right? Well, is it really? 585-866-4326. Matt Perino will join us next hour too. Shout Podcast, Syracuse Post-Standard. My name is Gene Battaglia here, WGR Rochester.
Sports Update.
Things getting a little chippy at a full pad of practice today for the Buffalo Bills. Caleb Elam's oar hitting Dalton Kincaid late. That led to a scuffle. This week marking the full return for Terrell Bernard. Bernard on his new defensive coordinator.
Yeah, the system's been good. I think we're still in the early phases of learning it, really putting the pieces together and understanding how everything fits together. I think we're still building an identity. But, for me, I feel like, this is a system that I can thrive in, honestly, whether that's at Mike, whether that's, we go to 5 down and you're playing the solo backer out there. It's a great opportunity for myself as well.
Team is off tomorrow. Next practice, 8:30 Thursday morning. Matt Perino, Syracuse Post Standard, and the Shout Podcast to join us next hour. Rochester Red Wings beginning a series tonight in Scranton. All the action in the majors under the lights, including the Yankees looking to bounce back against the Cardinals. Gene Battaglia, the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, WGR Rochester.
Top Shelf Sports Talk. You're hanging out in the sports bar with Gene Battaglia on the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950 WGR, Rochester.
Yeah, please, if you are a lawyer, just don't jump to conclusions when I begin this take, right? Because not everybody in your profession is like this. And the thing is, not every area of the law is the same, right? Welcome back to the sports bar. Gene Battaglia with you. And yes, this is a sports take, right? And there are lawyers that, criminal defense, you do your job, lawyers, business, all sorts of areas of expertise. But you know what? I have no time for the trademark lawyer. When the trademark lawyer comes knocking on your door. And in my career writing ad copy, I got one cease and desist. It was from a jeweler, and I had no idea that this jeweler copyrighted the phrase. Okay, well, cease and desist, fine, no problem. Not that anybody would know, much less anybody would care, right? But I bring this up because, and maybe you saw this story. So it turns out, for years, there is a high school in Colorado. And the high school in Colorado, the school nickname is the Buffaloes, right? And they have used as their logo what is the Sabres throwback logo to the goat head era. The black uniforms, right? the Ted Nolan years with Michael Pekka. And the Sabres now using that as a throwback, and we all kind of love that, right? The NHL sending a cease and desist to this Colorado high school. This high school now will face the decision, hey, either you are saying you're changing this logo, which, because if you're thinking, I would have to think it's on every kind of thing, every uniform, the stuff online you can take down relatively easy, but if you're using it in logos, if it's on the logo of a school gym, that all has to come down. Or, and I don't know the exact terminology, but yeah, you'd have to pay us for the rights to use that logo. Here's the take. Ready? High schools should use whatever logo they want to from the pros. Be honored, damn it, Sabres, that somebody's using your logos. I'm saying Sabres. They may not have anything to do with this. It may just be the NHL coming bulldozing through and say, hey, this is not right. Cease and desist. Stop with that. Be honored that somebody wants to emulate you in that way. Personally, if you go back 24 months, hell, even 12 months, would anybody even think this was a story? Because the Sabres were so bad at that point. Wait a second. It should be the other way around. The Sabres should pay you. I'm kidding. But I try to think, I hate this trend. I'm trying to think of other Section 5 schools. Now, for years, the football program in Greece, it's no longer Olympia. It's Olympia Odyssey. So they've changed their uniforms up a little bit. But in my era, it was they were wearing the Green Bay Packers uniforms. I don't ever recall the NFL saying, hey, you can't do that. Or here's another instance. How close is the Aquinas logo to the Notre Dame logo? I have to think. I haven't done a breakdown, but I would think that it's very, very close to that. And I would think that, hey, if you're Notre Dame and we're the Fighting Irish and Aquinas is the Little Irish and the Aquinas, that we're going to honor the Catholic school, and how many people have gone from Aquinas to Notre Dame. I'm going to guess more than one. I don't recall Notre Dame ever sending Aquinas to cease and desist, and I hope we don't get to that point. There's probably other instances nationwide, but I just think this is so petty. And the Sabres could have gotten out in front of this and said, hey, we're fine with this. But then again, I don't know, like the idea that the Amherst have to put out the Amherst literally have given the okay to one hockey organization to be the junior Amherst. I would think that means it's not cool for anybody else to use the Amherst logo. 585-866-4326 is the number to call. As we've got Matt Perino, Syracuse Post Stand and the Shout podcast. They'll be coming up in hour number 2. Talking about movies that you might like, right? There's no crying in baseball. There's a report out of Toronto that, all right, team learning that Kevin Gausman was traded. Now, how? You don't have to connect dots here. The Mets are the most disappointing team, right, in baseball this year. Far and away, right? But number 2 on the list, it's the Blue Jays. You look at the talent on the Jays, they're like, oh, they're going to snap out of it. They'll be fine. They'll snap out of it. Doesn't help when your well-paid first baseman, MVP candidate from a year ago, hasn't hit a home run in his own ballpark this year, right? You might have a problem, right? Doesn't help when pitchers are injured. A lot of things went wrong for Toronto. And what a disappointment when you are, a couple inches, 1 inch, whatever it was. You're that close to winning that game against the Dodgers. That close. And when I think back, and I thought that Game 7 was riveting. And I'm not a Toronto fan, but I'm an Ernie Clement fan. And you're invested. And when Ernie Clement hits that ball to left field, it's like, wow, that could have been it. Like, you could have had the 2025 version of Joe Carter, and that's a Rochesterian. Well, yeah. After that game, and again, I'm not up in the Toronto locker room. Clubhouse, I think they would call it. But I did see the video come out, and there was only one player that came out and actually kind of did it, that came across my feed. That was Ernie Clement. And Ernie Clement was in tears. And the reason is he's articulating this is he's not in tears saying because we lost the World Series here that close. What he's saying is because he knows that with this group of guys, that was it. That I'm going to miss these guys coming to the ballpark every day. And that's kind of like a hard thing to kind of understand. Like, well, wait a second here. You're all paid professionals. So what if one of these guys are playing on a different team? So what if somebody's kind of moved on? So it brings me back up to over the weekend where we have this report from The Athletic that, hey, Kevin Gausman gets traded. And again, if you're paying attention to Blue Jay baseball, okay, like time to sell or remake. And I think the Blue Jays, they've done this in the past too. They were buyers and sellers. Kind of like that, right? Like, all right, we still have some pieces. It wasn't a full, all right, for the Mets, everybody get out here that's not named Soto and Lindor. But for the Blue Jays, Kevin Gausman was one of those pitchers. Kevin Gausman, give him credit. Like, he has figured this out. He has improved with age. 36 years old, still has something to offer. But you know what? Maybe we can get some prospects in return. And with the Cubs, the Jays end up getting not one, but 2 players in the minor leagues that, all right, maybe they're not the top prospect, but they're both batting over 300. One guy batting over 300 in Iowa. Now, we could have a whole other conversation saying, all right, prospects, who cares? Prospects. Like, sometimes, what does it even matter? And there's plenty of like instances where you say, what was that trade? You gave up all that. Sometimes it just amounts to a salary dump. Sometimes GMs are just deathly afraid, though, that prospect, well, you know what? We need a lefty reliever. Let's go trade for Larry Anderson was the guy's name. And Houston traded him to Boston. Boston gave up another prospect named Jeff Bagwell, Hall of Famer. That's what, old-time baseball people will be afraid of. This isn't that. This is the Jays just kind of recognizing, okay, we're out of it. Is Gossman on our long-term plans? No. Let's move on and just see what we can kind of get in return. And for the Cubs, hey, the Cubs are still thinking we can track down the Brewers. And we got to the postseason last year, and the Brewers kind of mowed over us. Can we get by Milwaukee this year? And maybe we're the team lining up against the Dodgers. Or if you can kind of get into that second spot, maybe you don't have to worry about the Dodgers till you get to the NLCS. That's probably the logic there in Chicago, right? Chicago is a fun team, and I don't think they're World Series caliber. Like, there's only like one team I could say in the National League right now that you would say, okay, this team I would give a puncher's chance against the Dodgers. That's the Brewers, of course, because of Mizorowski and because their lineup Can you get Mizorowski maybe 3 times? That's what it would take, right? 3 times in the NLCS, Game 1, Game 4 win, and then whatever you could squeeze out of him in Game 7. That's the only pathway I see. I might have thought it might have been Atlanta. Anybody in Atlanta know the trade deadline was yesterday? They might have missed that. No, Gossman going. Well, back to the crying in baseball is that Gossman gets traded on the plane, and apparently Dalton Varsho, who would later get traded himself, and George Springer broke down in tears. And you could say, come on. The cynic might say, what are you doing? What? You're getting paid. And by the way, we're not going to the postseason. Hey, Kevin Gossman, you're going to pick up a little playoff bonus by going to Chicago. And Kevin Gossman, maybe you can come. There's a chance that you could become a World Series participant this year. I don't think that's true, but you know what? It's not happening in Toronto this year. But if you just kind of bring it full circle to what happened last year, how close the Jays got, in the back of your mind, you realize, no, that it's never going to be the same. You got that close. So from that standpoint, I actually kind of respect that some players on the Broncos got that welled up that much there. On the Jays, I should say. I was looking at kind of the Broncos note on my scene. 585-866-4326. Matt Perino, Syracuse Post-Standard, and the Shout podcast will join us. That was a weird Yankee game last night, was it not? Like, the Yankees fall behind 6-0. Hey, they go ahead 7-6. And then it's the Cardinals with a long ball. What are we doing? That was not good for the Yankees. So the Yankees tonight, 3.5 back of the Rays in the AL East. I still think that's very much a race there once the Yankees figure out, but still no word at all on Aaron Judge. Tomorrow we'll talk to our injury expert, Dr. Charlie Schumann from Lattimore PT, where I unless something happens in the next 24 hours, I can't ask him about Aaron Judge. Like, Aaron Judge to me is, all right, we're not going to see him in August. I'd be stunned. Maybe they start to get him some swings. Just put this in the back of your mind. If you're Aaron Judge in the Yankees, how do you handle this? Is it good enough to go to the spring training complex where I've seen videos of Carlos Rodon and Giancarlo Stanton, they're doing whatever, and get Aaron Judge that way? Is it good enough just to work out of the stadium? Or do you really want to do this against live pitching and an opponent? You know who comes in around Labor Day weekend. When the schedule came out, like Red Wings schedule, you're always looking, all right, is the team, when are they home? Are they home 4th of July? Are they home, Father's Day? When does Scranton come in? Because that is the one team that draws, as for good reason. For example, I'm out there the night to see Garrett Cole pitching, but I got an added bonus. Batting third that night, Jason Dominguez. Batting fourth that night for Scranton, Ben Rice. If you are into the Yankees or whatever your favorite team is, there's another benefit when the other team comes into town. That's why we should fight like tooth and nail here in Rochester. Like, whenever that agreement comes up, year 2030, that we remain a AAA city here. You get those murmurs that the Nationals want to hook up with Richmond, and who knows if that's true or not, but you know what? You do everything to make sure that it doesn't become true. And if the Nationals want to say, all right, well, I'd say good luck to you. And, there will be other franchises that would value a baseball sitting, loving Rochester. But the point is, again, about the Yankees here. Can you get enough reps, enough time here for Aaron Judge without having to send him to AAA? I don't know the answer to that. I don't know if Aaron Judge is going to be back or not. But what I do know is when Judge and Bellinger come back, the Yankees have the starting pitching. Last night the bullpen failed them, but by and large the bullpen's okay. Did the Yankees do enough with Garcia? I think so. I like Garcia. That should deliver some things for that team. 585-866-4326. We've got more notes to get to. We've got Tim's terrible take of the day. That's also coming up. My name is Gene Battaglia here in WGR Rochester.
Rochester's home for live sports and the best sports talk anywhere. The Sports Bar with Gene Battaglia, 95.7 FM and AM 950 WGR, Rochester.
Matt Perino, Syracuse Post Standard Shop podcast, who's out of practice today. We will get his take on, well, in terms of camp fights, that one was a little different. Caleb do this again, Tim. Caleb Elam's or move my mouth. You can't be hitting Dalton Kincaid like that. And of all the players we want to hit, my goodness. Like Dalton Kincaid, put that knee in bubble wrap. Dude, like, yeah, can you get 17 weeks out of Dalton Kincaid? Everybody hold their breath. Yeah, we'll get the thoughts of Matt Perino coming up next hour. Going back to that story about how the NHL is stepping in and telling a Colorado high school, hey, you cannot use this logo that belongs to the Buffalo Sabres, cease and desist. Greg writing in, Gene, my high school was sued by the University of Missouri for using their tiger logo. My school paid a small fee to be able to use it. See, that's the thing. Like, if a high school is using the logo, are they really profiting off it? Now, you could say, hey, Gene, have you seen high school football down in Texas? And the answer is, well, I've seen it online. I've seen it portrayed in Hollywood. I haven't seen it from my own two eyes. But I think I'm smart enough to know, okay, that's a little different. That's if you're using a logo and that's, you're playing in like practically 1AA stadiums down there. I'm talking for some random high school in Colorado using a Sabre throwback logo, which, come on, really? We're going to be doing cease and desist. Be honored that there's a team that wants to use their logo. 585-866-4326. It is now time for the award-winning segment on the award-winning show.
It's now time for Terrible Time Timmy's Terrible Take of the Day on WGR Rochester. WGR Rochester. It's Terrible Time Timmy.
All right, we're about a week through the first week of training camp. There's only a couple days left. I think that we've turned on the good side on DJ Moore here. A lot of people weren't fully sold at first with the trade. Maybe the return was a little too steep. His contract a little bit unnerving. 4 years, $110. Today, Zay Flowers signed for 4 years, $140. And based on what we've seen out of DJ Moore so far, I think that now we're all in on that because the connection with Josh Allen has been tremendous. He's looked outstanding. He's done it quietly. And again, he's new to the team, so maybe he's just playing nice. But he doesn't seem to have that wide receiver diva attitude that many talented receivers have. He looks great so far. The contract now looks good in comparison to Zay Flowers. And on the other side of it, the running back, James Cook, last year signed a pretty steep deal and earned it. 4 years, $46 million. Today, Bijan Robinson, a record-setting 3 year, $75 million extension. Those deals in comparison, the Bills did a great job getting the players that they need to make the offense compatible with Josh Allen. And the players are almost as talented as the guys signing huge deals. I think Zay Flowers is worse than DJ Moore personally. The Bills look good here.
All right. Okay, let's unpack this. First of all, like, it's great that we're getting all these positive reviews and another great catch, from Moore to Allen if you went to today's practice. Like you said, we're 1 week in. Like we can't even evaluate this until we get to the regular season. So to the point, though, that if you went to the reaction, it was just kind of a comparatively speaking sort of thing. Meaning, all right, if DJ Moore and you're taking on that salary, usually when you take on salary, you don't have to give up the second-round pick in order to do it. And I think that's where people were like, I don't think it was like the money that put people off. I think it was the draft capital. But what you're saying is, well, if this works, who cares? If it works, give them what out. If you win this year, you won't care about anything. I think the point, though, where you kind of pull in about James Cook, and Jeremy White was chatting about this a little this morning too. It's all right. He's got a cap hit of $5 million this year. What are we doing now? Next year that goes up to $13 million. Again, a cap hit where we're going to get to next offseason. Do we have a situation where, hey, for James Cook now halfway through the contract, this is underpaid? You could lower that cap number and be like, okay, here's a bonus. We're going to give you that bonus, and then two birds with one stone. The way this all works, though, it's timing. It's always Tim. It's always the last one in. And right now, Zay Flowers getting in. Zay Flowers is not worth that money.
I agree.
No, he's not. I'm surprised that Baltimore went down that road. But when you spend the draft capital, and it's easier to kind of justify this as a GM, you're going all in. It was a different route the Buffalo Bills went for DJ Moore. It certainly was. But it's kind of exciting to think, all right, DJ Moore, Shakir, how is this all going to look when we get it all together? We'll talk about that with our buddy Matt Perino, Syracuse Post-Standard, Shout Podcast. Thank you, Tim. By the way, the show open, I think that drove one of our listeners, Chris, away. He was so upset that I chose the winner as that goofy kind of intro, because I think that you may not see it that way, Tim, but I see that as kind of you. Because when Joy Kamensky upstairs, if you know Joy in our business, she has a heart of gold, right? And she's like, oh my gosh, I never knew Tim. Tim is such a fun-loving guy. And he said, like, yeah, that's your personality. We jokingly say terrible time Tim, but more often than not, if Tim is out, he's going to be there, having a cold one or doing whatever it is. And I think that fits your personality. So, no, that theme song, not changing on the bed. We're not moving off of that anytime soon.
I'll come to love it, I guess.
Yeah, eventually. Or it just becomes like you're not even hearing it anymore at some point. Matt Perino coming up. My name is Gene Battaglia. We'll take time for your calls at 585-866-4326 here on WGR Rochester.
ROCAM, WBEE HD2, and W239BF Rochester. The sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950 WGR Rochester. An Odyssey sports station, WGR Rochester. Sports update.
Things happening after the whistle this morning at St. John Fisher, where Caleb Elamzor hitting Dalton Kincaid late. That led to a scuffle. First full day of full padded practice. This week also marking the return of Terrell Bernard. Bernard, happy to be back.
I think just being grateful that I'm out there. For me, I missed it. I missed just being out there with the guys. I missed, being in the locker room and going through practice and doing tough things together. So really just enjoying those moments and just not taking it for granted. When I'm out there doing everything that I can to, be the best version of myself, but then help the guy next to me.
Matt Perino, Syracuse Post-Standard, and the Shout podcast will join us later this hour. Rochester Red Wings begin the series tonight in Scranton, the first of 6. The Yankees hosting the Cardinals. Gene Battaglia and the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, WGR Rochester.
Pull up a chair, stay for a while. You're in the sports bar on WGR. Grab a drink, hang your coke, and sports talk. Live from Western New York. It's a master show. 9 times better than your typical host. 9 times. Gina Tim F takes much harder than most. No one cares when you're out. Sabres, Bills, Americans, Red Wings, and Nighthawks. Sports bar for Rochester Sports Talk.
Hour number 2 is we're coming to you from the High Falls Studios in downtown Rochester where the sun is out. We will talk to our good friend Matt Perino, Syracuse Post-Standard, and the Shout podcast as, hey, if you blinked, you might have missed camp. Well, we have 2 more days at least. Team is off tomorrow. One thing I've kind of noticed, and I don't know if it's my algorithm, I have never seen so many pictures of just players being out and about in town. And one being, like, it came across my feed. Here was the Bills' defense having dinner last night at Patron Saint. It's like, okay, you know what, team bonding, that's fine. And that's a good place to have a meal, certainly. And it's, we're going to show off downtown. I didn't go there with PJ Glasser, but PJ, by the way, will join us tomorrow. Get his complete review of the Flower City as he paid a visit here. 585-866-4326. I couldn't tell, exactly who was in all that picture, that came across social media. Maybe you saw that too. But you heard the cut there from Terrell Bernard. Terrell Bernard back at it. And I don't know, the way it kind of looks, the way this defense is kind of set up, where if you're basically presenting a 5-man front, but you could have a Michael Hoyt or could have a Bradley Chubb, a Greg Rousseau drop back into coverage, or just making sure you're sticking with the run a little bit on the outside. That would suggest to me that maybe things are going to get funneled inside. That for those 2 linebackers, boy, that should make all sorts of playmaking opportunities, should it not? Like Terrell Bernard, and then who's next to Terrell Bernard? Like, is it going to be Elamzor? Is it going to be Dorian Williams? And today was, I think, just kind of a classic case of, hey, the pads go on, and I'm really going to show the coaches, and I really, and Elamzor does the thing you can't do. I mean, if it's an actual football game, that's a 15-yard penalty. There's a late hit. You just can't do that. There's a code, certainly that, hey, you don't want to be giving any extra English when you're tackling somebody to the ground, even with the full pads, right? Like, you don't need to be jawing. You don't need to be doing any of that stuff. Just go out there and do your work. And I don't know what set Elamzor off. Matt Perino actually caught up with him. We'll get Matt's take on this a little bit later. Not that you want him hitting anybody late, but in particular, like Dalton Kincaid. Besides Josh Allen, that's one guy like, no, we need that knee healthy. You need everything to be good. Deon Walker, once again, not out there today. Apparently some elbow injury, according to Sal Capaccio. But again, injury, that's a strong word. Issue, I think, would be kind of the way to phrase it. So it's the time of year where you're just being cautious here on August the 4th. Yesterday, Marv Levy's birthday. I forgot it was Tom Brady's birthday, too. It's Marv's birthday. I'm going to I wish Marv a happy birthday, not that other guy. 585-866-4326, the number to call. Ray Davis also was out for a little bit today as he had a pile go up, land on him, got rolled up, but went over, got it checked out. He was back on the field. C.J. Gardner-Johnson was seen off working to the side today. Again, by off to the side, just not practicing, just with athletic trainers, just out there doing some things, but nothing football related. I'm fascinated by this. Was out last night and talking to some Eagle friends of mine who are Eagle fans. And that seems to be the fan base that, all right, tell me more about this guy. And, yeah, he makes plays, but just the nonstop nature. Like, there's something missing in, like, I don't quite get it yet. If he's making plays and he's this personality, well, can't you just deal with the personality? Apparently there are some personalities just nonstop. And that's why for C.J. Gardner-Johnson, he just, according to my friends, can't turn it off. And after a while, you're like, okay, enough already. And it doesn't kind of stop. That was the review from a couple Eagle friends of mine, friends that are Eagle fans, about C.J. Gardner-Johnson. I think that the Bills locker room is strong enough that you can kind of take the there's more than enough leadership in that locker room. Case in point, Keon Coleman. The Bills didn't need to do much last year. Like, all you have to have, like, Deion Dawkins. Like, do you really want to answer to Deion Dawkins? Do you really want to answer to Ed Oliver? Like, there are leaders on this team that, hey, if something's a little out of line, we don't need that here. And he's not, again, Gardner-Johnson's not a bad dude. That's the thing. He's practicing. He does everything football-wise you would want. That's why I'm just interested. Like, why did Houston not stick with it, or Baltimore for that matter? I mean, you think back to the Bills last year, and I don't, the what-if game. The what-if game is kind of, while it's fun, it's also, kind of a pointless exercise. But, just land on here for 10 seconds. Well, like, what if Sean McDermott said, you know what, let's bring him in? The Bills were banged up in the secondary last year. Sean McDermott's not here. You have to wonder, like, hey, look, Brandon Beane's like, we got overruled on that. Let's bring this guy in here. So, kind of a bummer we're not going to see C.J. Gardner-Johnson here at Fisher, other than, with trainers off to the side. But I'm excited, actually, to see him on the field for Buffalo, how that's going to work. When we talked to Matt Perino last week, because if you're looking at Cole Bishop, all right, he had a great year last year. It's a new system. Does Cole Bishop kind of stay steady? Does he take a half step back? Matt Perino says no, it's not either of those options. He takes a step forward. And we've talked to other people too. Like, if this system is really designed to have a safety that drops down into the box and makes plays, like if Cole Bishop is that instinctual guy that we saw last year, then look out. Maybe we are talking about Cole Bishop, top 10 safety in this league. All right, well, if you have to pay attention to a guy like that, what is that opportunity then for a veteran guy who can roam around out there in Gardner-Johnson? Matt Perino will join us here in just a few minutes. 585-866-4326. A sort of Rochester note, I guess, because, gosh, when I'm looking at the calendar next year, and we are the one show here in the whole family at WGR. We're going to talk baseball with you. Rochester is a baseball town. Always has been, and for foreseeable future will be, right? Well, after the Dodgers enjoy a third straight championship, I'm not so sure we're going to be talking baseball in the spring. Maybe we have a late start, and it's just like, all right, if you're looking into the crystal ball next year, right, well, maybe it's not so bad, at least at the beginning, because, hey, we're expecting the Sabres to be fun, and when the Sabres come back around, it's going to be like it is all the time. Oh, yeah, we're in the middle of football season. Oh, wait, hockey's starting to get out of here. All right, I'll tune in for a little bit. But until football steps aside, for many people, that's when hockey season will begin. Hockey people, true hockey people, hate when you say that. I'm being honest. That's kind of the way it is. And it's not a hockey thing. It's a sports thing. Say the same thing about the NBA, right? And when football kind of ends, all right, the Sabres are interesting, and I don't think the Knicks are going to fall flat on their face. I think the Knicks, by winning that championship, that might have sparked something inside of you to come back to the NBA for all its warts and its issues and its poor leadership. Yeah, the idea that LeBron James is in the Eastern Conference going after New York, okay, that's an interesting storyline. And we'll see how that plays out. So that'll carry us maybe through April, through May. And then what? All right, we don't have the World Cup, but we have the Women's World Cup. And if there's one market, that would be Rochester. And thank you to Abby Wambach and all those others that have come before. Like, this is something we'll pay attention to, right? That it's going to be in South America, down in Brazil, but it's still kind of in the same time zone-ish for us. We'll be able to tune in and watch, and hopefully the United States puts up a much, much better effort as compared to 4 years ago when they just fell flat on their face down under. This is one thing. Like, when we talk about things in our town that we lost over the years, we always point to the Rhinos. And I would say, yeah, the Rhinos, I would welcome a USL team back. And it doesn't have to be the Rhinos, but can we have something like that? We actually had a top-level team in an NWSL. They were the Western New York Flash. They had Marta. They had, for a year, Abby Wambach. My gosh, they had the Pink Princess. They had a lot of things on that team. And nobody went to the games. We did not deserve to have that team in Rochester. Like, it's just, in this league now, the NWSL, it's not quite on the WNBA scale. It's not easy to kind of find on TV, but it's out there. I'm bringing this up because imagine we still had a team here in Rochester. Well, how would this have worked? Because next year, we have the Women's World Cup, as I mentioned. They're going to start the NWSL season on February the 11th. We couldn't get people to come out when the weather was beautiful in June. So, yeah, we're a great baseball town, but in Rochester, I think we're not all there as a sports town. And you can say, oh, it was a stadium location. It was whatever. Man, we had something. You just kind of missed on it. Well, it's that, but I don't think you can kind of fix the weather on that as well. 585-866-4326 is our phone number. As we will be talking to Matt Perino, Syracuse Post-Standard, in the Shout podcast. He'll be coming up here in just a little bit. Kind of having that discussion last night, too. Like, if we do have that kind of void coming up next offseason, does this mean that we'll be watching more WNBA? Look, you have, like, I'm looking at the WNBA. You've got, like, 10 months to figure this out, meaning I'm there for the basketball. I'm not there for everything else. Stop with everything else. Like, I don't care. Dragging it. Your messaging is terrible, and there's outside noise, and you don't know how to shut down that outside noise. Hire the best PR strategist you can find and come up with another plan, because what you're doing right now certainly is not working. Tim mentioned this in his take, that Bijan Robinson gets a 3-year extension up to $75 million, $51 million guaranteed. As before, it was Saquon Barkley as the top paid running back, and now it's going to be Bijan Robinson, and maybe Jahmyr Gibbs will actually kind of pass that. Here's the fun part here: guaranteed money. It's just getting crazy now. Jeremiah Love actually has the most guaranteed money above Bijan Robinson. That's by where he was drafted, $53 million. Whatever happened to building a team, and in fantasy they call it RB0, but isn't that supposed to be kind of like the cherry on top? I always thought, like, build the line, find the quarterback, build the line, and then go for, make sure you get a few receivers. The running back's like the last piece. But for Bijan Robinson, hard to argue. Led the NFL in scrimmage yards last season, 4th in rushing touchdowns. And the Falcons are paying a lot of money. Where they paid Drake London $141 million. Kyle Pitts, okay, he's not any good. Oh my gosh, look at him against Tampa on that Thursday night. We didn't $54 million. A left guard, Matthew Bergeron, $96 million. And I would just say, for what? What did that give you last year? Well, Gene was the quarterback. Okay, who's your quarterback this year? Is it going to be Tua? Is it going to be Penix? Yeah, that's a lot of money for a team that hasn't done jack. So, Kevin Stefanski, like that's kind of the pop. Where did he land? He's the head coach in Atlanta. And I thought Stefanski, all the things considered, did a fine job in Cleveland. Didn't deserve to lose his job. A lot of drama there, right? Well, here he has an owner that is shelling out most money to a running back right now. Okay, that's a lot. High dollar wide receiver Drake London, Kyle Pitts getting top dollar, a left guard getting top dollar. They didn't do anything last year, but the pressure's on in Atlanta. I've yet to one Falcon fan I know here in Rochester. You know any, Tim?
No,
right,
0.
Right, that is like if you had to pick franchises that just don't move the needle in our town or maybe anywhere. Atlanta in the NFL. For me in the NBA, it would be the Washington Wizards.
Yeah, I don't even think Washington cares about the Wizards.
No, like the Wizards are not, like that's not. Who would be the baseball team that would fit that category?
That nobody cares about?
Nobody cares about.
Do the A's fit that?
No, and here's why. Because, Tim, if you were an old-timer.
Sure.
Yeah, they won 3 championships there. I'm going to go with the Texas Rangers.
Miami?
Yeah, that could fit that category, too. Could fit that category. Teams that, Miami won 2 World Series championships. The Texas Rangers, I don't even remember winning.
They won a couple years ago.
I know. Like I said, I don't even remember them winning. I know it happened. I'm acknowledging that happened. I don't remember it at all.
The COVID years.
Yeah, I'm joking, everyone. It was over Arizona. 585-866-4326. Matt Perino next year on WGR Rochester.
Call Mike Johnson at 585-423-2946. Odyssey is an equal opportunity employer.
WGR Rochester Sports Update.
Little chippy this morning at Bill's practice, full padded practice. Caleb Elamsor hitting Dalton Kincaid late. That led to a scuffle. This week marking a full return for Terrell Bernard. Bernard on his new defensive coordinator.
Yeah, the system's been good. I think we're still in the early phases of learning it, really putting the pieces together and understanding how everything fits together. I think we're still building an identity. But, for me, I feel like, this is a system that I can thrive in, honestly, whether that's at Mike, whether that's, we go to 5 down and you're playing the solo backer out there. It's a great opportunity for myself as well.
Matt Perino, Syracuse Post-Standard and the Shout podcast to join us next here in the Sports Bar. Wings tonight, beginning a series at Scranton. All the action in the majors tonight under the lights, including the Yankees, looking to bounce back as once again in the Bronx they host the Cardinals. G. Battaglin, the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, WGR Rochester.
The best local sports talk in the Flower City. The Sports Bar with Gene Battaglia on the Sports Leader. 95.7 FM and AM 950 WGR. Rochester.
Yeah, maybe you heard this story like how Ryan Clark found out he got let go from ESPN. He did it during a commercial break. This is the opposite. This is all I can say here. Because during that last commercial break, my phone, I got 3 messages. One by text, one by phone. Mike Johnson, don't call me while I'm on the air. I can't answer your call. And another email. I had to name them here. It's all positive. It's something about the show I can't tell you. But, certainly things are looking up here for the Sports Bar. We're joined. We'll get to that hopefully by the end of the week. Matt Perino, Syracuse Post-Standard Shout podcast. Appreciate the time, Matt. I know you're very, very busy. And you were at practice this morning. Give us your takes, because you always kind of get a little chippiness at some point. Was that a little bit too much from Elamsor on Kincaid? What was your take on that hit? Matt, appreciate the time. How are you today?
I'm good. I don't think so. I mean, you definitely want to protect Dalton Kincaid, knowing what we've been talking about with him all offseason, right? Like getting him to week 1, getting him to be 100%, and I can't think of a more annoying way for that storyline to go than to him get knocked out for an extended period of time because of a hit by a teammate in practice. But on the other side of that, you love what you're getting from that guy at that position as a rookie, knowing what you've had there the last couple of years. And me and Ryan were just talking about it on our pod today. Like we heard from Terrell Bernard. I heard you play that clip at the beginning. I think Caleb Elamsor, as much as the Bills are going to love the tone that he sets and the way that he plays and his strengths, I think he's just as important to what you potentially can get out of Bernard playing next to him. And all the things that Elamsor does well, tracking the ball, playing the run, good in coverage. I mean, the way that he ran with James Cook today in one-on-ones was unbelievable. Like, those are some of the things that maybe Terrell Bernard doesn't do as well. And so getting those two skill sets side by side are something that I think you get really excited about. He talking about this season sitting down and watching tape with Jim Leonard, I think is something that is also going to potentially take this defense to the next level. So I don't know. I don't want to overreact too much to one practice, to a bit of physicality. There was some on both sides of the ball, and it felt like some of the offensive players were all for it. I mean, Alec Anderson said he loved it. Spencer Brown said he liked it. So that's going to be what it's going to be on the first day of pads.
Yeah, and let's stick with Bernard, because you did hear from Bernard today, and gosh, man, I admit my bias. I really like the guy. The question is, can he stay healthy for the full season? Where is he at right now? Is he fully recovered from the ankle and everything else that was bugging him last year? Or were the Bills are they just being cautious here, and that's why we saw kind of them manage everything the way they did last week? Where are we at with Bernard and his health right now?
Yeah, I think he's all systems go. I don't think he would be out there playing if he wasn't. I mean, he's fully going in team drills, one-on-ones. He was. I think he's in a pretty good spot. Now, they're not going to give – the tough part about that is they don't have to give too much on the injury front right now. So if he were to be held back for a period or two, we're not going to get an update from Joe Brady detailing that. So it's more of just trying to kind of read between the lines on those kinds of things. But I think he's in a really good spot, and they're going to continue. I wouldn't expect him to play a ton in the preseason. They'll want him to get some of the rust off and, play some snaps in this defense. That's the other thing that you're going to be up against is like, all right, you don't want to put too much on his plate physically, knowing the injury he's coming off of, but he's playing in a brand new defense that he's not played at in the NFL yet. So that's going to be one of those things that you want to get him reps for sure, but at the same time, I wouldn't want to play him too much just knowing the injury that he's coming off of.
Yeah, Matt Perino and Ryan Talbot, they'll be in town Thursday night for an appearance. We'll tell you about that here shortly. Matt, injury scare, and it is an injury for C.J. Gardner-Johnson. Question here, does this potentially open up the door for someone else? Give us kind of the state of where things are at in the secondary right now.
So, yeah, it's opened up the door for, obviously, Geno Stone was kind of like the next man up, but with him out, now DeMar Hamlin's been back in the mix. And, I sense a lot of eye rolls about that from Bills fans. Like, I think people were ready to turn the page. DeMar's kind of in that similar conversation to like he's obviously got so much more of, a footprint on this organization, everything that he's gone through. And he's actually he started games for this team. I would put him in a different bucket than Day Jackson, but I think a lot of Bills fans put him in the same one and ready to move on from that tier of defensive back. But, he comes in today and he made a play in padded practice and, all eyes on him, and he finds a way to make plays. I will say that for DeMar Hamlin. So he's going to be probably in the mix all the way down to final cuts. There's depth there, but there's young depth. Like Jalen Kilgore's had a really solid camp, but is he somebody that's going to be you're going to rely upon as you get into the season? He's never played any NFL snaps. You like to have veterans in that room that you can rely upon, and Sam Franklin has struggled. He's not somebody that I think if he makes this team is going to factor into the safety room. So it's just one of those things where over the next couple of weeks, you're going to see how much DeMar Hamlin can produce, how quickly Jalen Kilgore can get up to speed, and then how long is C.J. Gardner-Johnson going to be out? I mean, he's bouncing around. He's ready to get back to practice probably tomorrow, if you ask him. So we'll see how that storyline plays out as well.
One more question about the defense, and it's about a rookie. How's T.J. Parker coming along? Because normally we're talking about this is the guy who it just doesn't seem there's enough talk about this. Are we just, here comes another second-round defensive lineman. We missed on so many of these. What are the odds that this guy, it turns out to really help this team this year, Matt? What are your thoughts on Parker so far?
He's been solid. I think that I've seen, I haven't seen a ton of work with the ones, and that's, probably almost like unfortunately for him, it's a deep room. Like you bring in Mike Dana as your fifth edge rusher, and this is a guy that's played important snaps in Super Bowl runs and Super Bowl games. And so that's something that until you earn that trust, you're going to be kind of behind the eight ball there. But I felt like, you felt him a little bit yesterday when they were in pads. I thought he had a really good rep against Chase Lunt. And now it's going to be about stepping up and giving him those opportunities over the next couple of weeks. He's going to get a chance to play in the preseason, and to me, that's where that's going to be the real test for how much they're going to maybe trust him once you get to the season. Hasn't popped in a big way, but Greg Rousseau through 5 days of camp. Today was the first time I saw him finish a sack. So it's not just Parker. It's guys like Michael Hoyt have just looked so great that they've kind of stolen a lot of the headlines. We'll see as this thing goes along. You watch him in one-on-ones, you watch him in individual period, and he's moving well. It's just there's not a lot to sink your teeth into yet in terms of big picture data to see where he's going to kind of fit into things.
Yeah, and Matt, to kind of wrap up here, on the other side of the ball, hey, another nice connection from Allen to DJ Moore. And hey, look, the sun is out today. Finally, a nice practice for you and everybody that was out there. I mean, we want to be optimistic that this is actually going to work. What are your thoughts so far from what you've seen, the guys you've talked to, about DJ Moore fitting into that wide receiver room?
I mean, yeah, you don't want to you want to keep the hyperbole at bay as best as you can. But the truth of the matter is this is a guy that the Bills have needed in this offense for years. And, it was a down year last year in Chicago overall statistically, but, there were so many pieces of that offense that they were trying to find a way to let everybody eat. And that probably ultimately cost DJ more stats. And if you look at the offense that he's entering in Buffalo now, they've kind of perfected that everybody eats model, and I think they're looking for someone to help really be the guy that drives this operation in the passing game. And, I think Dalton Kincaid, there's a world you live in where he can do that. I just don't think that he's been reliable in that way. So I think everything that DJ Moore has come in and done, you hear Khalil Shakir talk about the connection between Allen and Moore. You haven't heard guys talk about something like that in the past since probably early Stephon Diggs. So, of course, the hype is real. The expectations are big. And he's doing everything he needs to do at this point to kind of build confidence. We'll see if that is something that continues as we move our way through camp.
Coming up Thursday night, and it's a short camp, but Matt, I'm really happy that you and Ryan are carving out an evening, a get-together on the Shout podcast. Tell everybody about the time and the Mafia Hub and what's happening coming up Thursday night here.
Yeah, we're going to be there, meet and greet. We'll start at about 6 o'clock at the Mafia Hub over on St. Paul Street. Come out one and all. Our live shows are really cool. We love to get fans involved. We'll do usually a segment there. So it's going to be a great time. We've never been there before, but it's built for Bills fans. So we're really excited. Ryan and I will be there 6 to 8 on Thursday night.
Yep, and I will be stopping by and looking forward. We actually had an RSVP from one of our listeners, Yacht Rock John. So maybe we'll get a bunch of people out there Thursday night, Matt. Looking forward to it, but appreciate the time here today.
Appreciate you guys. Couple more days at Fisher, and it's been a fun one.
Yeah, fun and quick. Matt, appreciate it. We'll see you Thursday, bud.
All right, buddy. Take care.
Thanks, Matt Perino, who at practice, and he's got a deadline, and we appreciate all the time that he gives us here. Back to the Parker point. Have we ever had, here is the top player for the Buffalo Bills. I can't say first rounder because he wasn't, right? But the top selection, I guess, that we haven't really discussed. Because he's not in the top four. Or he'd be fourth, maybe. But when we look at that position right now, it's Rousseau and Chubb, and here's a healthy Michael Hoy. Great. And now a second-round pick in TJ Parker. Like, can he elevate? And if so, like, who is he really taking time from? If you're just going by the, who's the best player on the board, sure. To answer my own question, and part of it was pandemic-related, that, all right, we couldn't go out and see A.J. Epineza. I mean, it was it's like, okay, hopefully it all kind of works out. And, it's hard to get kind of that firsthand kind of look there, and not just from fans or from media. But outside of that weird time, I can't recall a time where we just kind of didn't have the top selection being a storyline. The storyline right now is Caleb Elam-Zor, as you heard from Matt. Like, okay, the skill set is there. Like, I wondered about that. Like, if you're going to go down to two true linebackers, right? Hoy can, serve as one, and Rousseau, whoever's lining up. Technically, they're going to be called linebackers. I'm talking about linebackers who can go up, make a tackle, plug the hole, go out, and cover the guy in the flat. The latter part of that, did you really want Dorian Williams following around a tight end? Now I want to see Caleb Elam-Zor if he can follow a running back like James Cook stride for stride. And they also kind of go along with that, too. Bernard is so smart, football IQ smart, that he can be the guy that, all right, hey, Rook, here, watch out this. Like, see how those two kind of develop and see where this kind of leads for Dorian Williams. Look, Dorian Williams still, I don't want him not on the team. You need him on the team. You need another good linebacker. I just think they need more depth there altogether. 585-866-4326, setting you up for last call. Like, all these Bills takes, We've got 2 days left. Fisher, isn't that crazy? Coming up Thursday and Friday, and then team is back in Buffalo. Before you know it, they're gone. Let's take your calls. Let's take your takes. Gene Battaglia here, WGR Rochester.
Straight up with no chaser. You're in the Sports Bar with Gene Battaglia on the Sports Leader. 95.7 FM and AM 950 WGR Rochester.
All right, so Thursday night, we get football back on your TV. Starting for the Carolina Panthers, Kenny Pickett. And starting for Arizona, I don't need to see Kenny Pickett. I know what he is. Carson Beck. Shouldn't be a surprise. It's one of those like, oh, yeah, they did draft a quarterback. Welcome back to the Sports Bar. Are you kidding me? They could try to anybody. I'm going to tune in Thursday night.
We're back, baby.
We are so back. Yeah, that'll be the Hall of Fame game Thursday night. We only get the one game this week. You get the full ceremonies on Saturday, and then by the time we get to next week, it is back. You do get the blue and the red scrimmage coming up Saturday night for the Bills in the new stadium. So a lot of pictures that will look a lot different with the Bills on that turf. I'm sure they're treating this almost like a dry run too. Having the stadium open and fans in the stadium and the concessions and all the fixings that, does this thing actually work here? This fryer or whatever it is. 585-866-4326. As we were in the break, we're talking about how, all right, this Bills camp, push aside like the injury that's not season ending, but nonetheless not good news for C.J. Gardner-Johnson. But everything so far has been fine for the Bills, other than the weather. Too. The weather, you guess you could add, but today was perfect. You have Josh Allen throwing nice spiral. And Maxwell Harrison is on this, too. It's not like the coverage is poor. It's just that the wide receiver and the quarterback make a great play. You'll see the highlights on your feed tonight. Compare that to, I bring in Tim. Tim, you made an observation that Bills fans enjoy what we have.
Yeah, everything is gravy right now at St. John Fisher University with the Bills. Josh Allen looking great with DJ Moore. And meanwhile, in Cleveland, Ohio, Deshaun Watson is being booed off the training camp field by Browns fans, which is probably deserved. Like, I'm not there, I don't know, but he deserves it. And just the contrast between the two organizations is absolutely wild.
Like, Deshaun Watson, if like the Browns were to move on from him this year, and it won't happen because they can't really, does Deshaun Watson end up in another spot? I don't know. Like you're booing this man because he's not a good dude, and you knew this going in, and then the missteps along the way. You give him that money, but then you restructure, and you're kicking this can down the road, and now you're going to give him every opportunity, and the answer is why. Like, that would be the kick in the teeth, right? Like, he'll show you just enough. He'll win in just enough this year to hurt your draft position. And then you'll say, oh, well, do we want to keep him just a little longer? Maybe it's just because he hasn't played in so long. After all, he led us to an 8-9 year. We just missed the playoffs. Like, no, that shouldn't be it. Do not live in that 8-9, 9 area weird gray zone. Don't do that to yourselves, Cleveland. Like, why can't you see this? Well, I say this to you. You see this, Tim. Other Browns fans see this, too. And the only way you can make your voice be heard sometimes is just to boo. And I get it. That's what you need to do. But you're stuck with a bad owner and a quarterback that you really don't like. In fact, you detest. And you're in this holding pattern. And, oh, by the way, the best defensive player that you've seen in your lifetime wearing those colors now plays in Los Angeles. It must suck to be a Cleveland Brown fan.
It really does.
I respect on the one hand for anybody that says, this is my team, and I'm sticking with it. But at what point do you say, you know what? It's just that I'm converting. Like, people get out of bad marriages. You get out of bad relationships. You're in a bad relationship. Why do you think all of a sudden she's going to all of a sudden be okay for you in 2 or 3 years?
It's a really toxic environment, and I can't get out of it. That's the thing. I'm stuck. I cannot get out of it. I would love to get out of it, but I can't. And I know that I have the opportunity. I can just do it, right? But you can't just do it.
No.
And I would love to be a Bills fan. I love Josh Allen.
It's abusive, right? And for many years, like, take a look at the hockey team. Like, we love hockey. Are you kidding me? I'm not all of a sudden going to become a Ranger fan. Screw that. Like, no. And then, hey, all of a sudden things start to get so that's the promise, Tim, that maybe at some point you'll come through this. I don't see this anytime soon, though.
I think it's an indictment on the quarterback situation as a whole. Deshaun Watson hasn't done anything since COVID. That was 6 years ago. And he might win the job outright over Shadir Sanders, who was supposed to be, he wasn't, but he was supposed to be a top 5 pick.
No, he's immature. Like that, like you're screwed. That's a team that right now, if you win games. Oh, by the way, our guy, we haven't talked about him since draft season because you know what, the Bills broke my heart. Casey Concepcion had a little bit of an injury scare, but he should be fine there. If you missed Matt Perino, it's inside the Odyssey app, or wherever you get your fine audio, as Dandalorian has that up for you. Baseball tonight. I mentioned the Yankees, but is that really the headline story, or is it in Chicago? Tonight it's on TBS. If you want to see this, your 3-time, I've already named them the world champions. Why not? The Dodgers tonight, we get to see Scooble.
Going to be awesome.
It's going to be awesome. Scooble, and compare that to Skeens. Now, the Pirates, all right, let's say that baseball caves, and all right, we'll just continue on doing what we're doing. This is not good. So talk about stick with your teams, and this is how I relate. The Mets are an embarrassment. Management is poor. Ownership has no idea. Just, all right, here's the shiny new thing. Oh, Justin Verlander, let's sign him. No, let's trade him. Let's throw the money here. And then you have guys that people actually like Pete Alonso, like Brandon Nimmo. No, let's move them at the advice of my wizard GM, David Stearns. The Mets are a mess. But sticking with your team, plan this out months ago. Like, it was originally going to be my son, my brother, and my nephew. Somehow my brother and my nephew, who aren't really Mets fans, like, oh, yeah, something came up. We're not going to. All right, so it's just my son and I going down to Pittsburgh this week, which is fine. We're going to go Saturday night, and, ooh, good. Paul Skeens is pitching on Sunday. Wait a second. They pushed him back a day. Oh, my gosh. And then you look at some of these numbers. There's concern about Paul Skeens right now. Like, he hasn't hit 98 in a while. His velocity is going down. So what did the Pirates do? The Pirates decided to give Paul Skeens an extra day of rest, which means I can't see Paul Skeens coming up on Sunday. Again, the Odyssey app, that is a great way to listen to the show, 1 to 3. But as I am teasing, got some pretty big news here on the show here that we will share with you at some point as soon as I'm allowed to say it. Thanks to Matt Perino, Syracuse Post-Standard, for stopping by. PJ Glasser joining us on the phone. So he's back in Baltimore after his little weekend in Rochester. How cool is that? We'll get his review of the Flower City, and we'll talk a little college football with PJ Glasser and some winners here as well. Also, Dr. Charlie Schumann tomorrow from Lattimore PT about some of these Bills injuries. Special thanks to Tim Schneider and the Dandalorian, and to you for listening and making us part of your day. Show Up in the Bulldog coming your way next year on the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, WGR Rochester.